How do we put the right message in front of the right people at the right time? That's the big question, and this podcast answers it. Welcome to Freaky Smart Marketing with David Olson. Hey, welcome to episode 3 of Freaky Smart Marketing. And today we're on step 1 of the small business growth method. We're still on the foundation, but the question today is, do you know your target audience? So many times as a consultant, I have gone into small businesses and I've asked, well, who's your audience? And people look at you and they just look at you like, huh? Well, we just want to sell to everyone. Well, I'm sorry, guys. That's not how it works. What we have to do is we have to target our messaging, our advertising, our social media. All our messaging needs to be targeted to a very specific group of people that we are going to achieve a specific result for. They have some desired outcome that they want, and our product or service delivers that. It fixes that problem for them, and it helps them avoid whatever the pain may be, whatever they fear most. That's what our product and service does. It delivers the desired result, and it helps them avoid these other pain points over here. But how can we do that if we have not pinpointed who exactly our audience is? So this is a fundamental question that so many small businesses fail to answer adequately. Now, we just don't want to say, well, we want to sell to married women over 45. Okay, that's a good start, but that's not what we're looking for either. We need to get much more in depth. So I've created a worksheet, and it's part of the small business growth method. It's called your ideal customer worksheet. Now it has several sections on it, and we're going to go through both demographics, which demographics is basically age, gender, marital status, number of children, occupation, job title, etc. And we're also going to go into the psychographics, which are things like, what do they want? What are they interested in? Where do they congregate on the internet? Where do they go for information? Who do they look to as experts in their fields? That's what the psychographics are. And I'm going to show you a really nifty trick. Unfortunately, this is only audio, but if you got the small business growth method, if you remember, you could go in and watch the video on how to do these things and get the worksheet. So if you haven't done so already, go download the small business growth method, 3 simple steps to predictable growth. You can get the roadmap. It has all the steps on it. It's free, no obligation. Just go to freakysmartmarketing.com/roadmap to get it. Okay, so now back to our example. The first thing we do, now most businesses do have some idea of who their customer is. If you don't, go back and look. I'm sure you can get a pretty good idea of who it is. Or is there someone else, a competitor, who already is in your space, who's big, who's doing social media? If so, write those down. Or who are the big gurus? Who are your competitors? That's an important thing to know. So let's go down, let's look at the ideal customer avatar or the ideal customer worksheet. So the first thing is name. We want to give our customer, a target audience, a specific name. We want an age. We want a gender. Oh, and I should tell you this. It's okay to have more than one ideal customer worksheet. And as I look right in front of my desk, in back of my computers, I have 6 ideal customer worksheets all filled out because there's 6 very specific types of people that I am marketing and selling to. So let's go back to it. You want a name, an age, Gender. Now what I do is I like to include a picture, and there's a little spot in the top left corner for a picture. And what I do is let's say I'm selling to 35-year-old women. So I go on the internet and I look at the most popular girl's baby name for someone born 35 years ago. And I put that into Google search or into Facebook, and a picture will come up, and I just snag the first one. Now, it's okay. You don't have to worry about copyright or any of this stuff. This is not something that you're going to share with other people. People in your organization will look at it, but you won't be putting this out, so don't worry about it. Just get a picture, put it in there. Put a name. Like one of mine is Beth. She's 35. Obviously, she's a woman. Marital status. Number of children. Just put what you think it might be. What's their location? And that's important if you have a local business. It's not so important if you're going out on the internet or on social media, but it could have impacts. What's the occupation? What's their job title? Annual income? Education level, etc. Now, here's the question. The normal follow-up is, well, how do we get that information? What if we don't know? Well, this is where Facebook is really awesome. Whether or not you're advertising on Facebook or you're using it, Facebook has some incredible tools. Most people have the wrong idea about what Facebook is. They think it's some social media, social sharing site. It's not. That's only the very tip of the iceberg. Facebook is actually a massive data gathering network. It gathers data on everything you do online. And there's up to 2 billion active people on Facebook all the time. So it's massive. So what you can do, and if you have the small business growth method, you can go into the foundation and go into the ideal customer, and you can watch the videos. But in Facebook, if you have Business Manager, you can go into Business Manager, and the first thing that you want to look at is Audience Insights. And a pop-up box will come up, and it'll say, choose an audience to start. And you can choose, the best option here is to choose everyone on Facebook. Now, if you haven't been advertising in Facebook, or you haven't been using it actively for your business, just choose everyone on Facebook. However, if you have been advertising for a while and you do have a social media presence, the second option is people connected to your page. And that'll give you the demographic information of the people who have already been visiting or engaging with you on social media, on Facebook specifically, and Instagram as well. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to go and do everyone on Facebook for this example. Now you're presented with a screen. You have a column on the left that says create audience. And then you have a large column that takes up about 3/4 of the page. And it says new audience, people on Facebook. Now this is where knowing who your competitors are comes in really in handy. You really need to know who they are. So recently I did some work for someone who was in the multi-level network marketing business. That's great. You know, I have nothing against it. I think it's a great business model if you want to get into it, as long as it's done right. So that's my little soapbox on that. Okay, so they wanted to do that, and one of the people that they wanted to emulate was someone named Eric Worre. Eric Worre. And so we're going to use that as an example because he's big. He has a huge social media presence, and they wanted to emulate. They wanted to market to people who also like this Eric Worre. So what we're going to do, we're going to look on this left-hand column under Create Audience. And the first thing is location and United States. So for all intents and purposes, we want the United States, but you could plug into this area any country, region, or city, whatever you want to do. We're just going to keep it for United States. Then you go down age and gender. So age, it starts out with 18 to any, fine. Gender, sorry, social justice warriors, you only have 3 choices, all, men, or women. That's it. And let's just leave all those the same. And then we have interests and connections, pages, and then advanced. So under interests, I'm going to type in the name of Eric Worre, W-O-R-R-E. R-E. Yeah. And it comes up. And I click on his name, and it adds it. Then what happens is Facebook goes out, and it looks on the center column, and it tells me all the people. You give it a second, because sometimes it might not fill in quite quickly enough. And mine's having a bit of it's kind of reloading here. I'll let it reload. I'll pause for a second. Okay, now it came up, and for Eric Worre, Network Marketing Pro, it tells me the first column under demographics says it has between 300,000 and 350,000 of monthly active people who are interested in Eric Worre. 73% of them are women, 27% are men. Pretty interesting. Relationship status. 63% are married. 23% are single. Education level. Over 70% have a college education. Interesting. Page likes is the next button you can choose. And it comes up and it gives you, if you scroll down the page a little bit, it gives you something called top categories, but then it goes down to page likes. And it has some really interesting information on there. It says, I love marketing. And Facebook gives it an affinity score. An affinity means how likely your audience is to like a given page compared to everyone else on Facebook. So the higher the number, the more affinity they have. And so it's looking at, these are people that your target audience might also be interested in. And so you can look at it. It gives you a list of about 20. Let's see. You can get a list. You can get a list of about 100 different names on there. Like, for instance, people that are very similar to Eric Worre would be Ray Higdon, I guess. And I don't know who these people are. Katie McShee, Sarah Robbins, network marketing professional. I mean, I'm not into this market, but this is just what you can glean off of it. So if I was creating my ideal customer worksheet from this, I would be filling in the gaps. Age, well, the people I'm looking at, if I look at this Eric Worre, go back to the demographics tabs, because I want to emulate this person. Let's see, age. 24% of them are between the ages of 25 to 34. Let's see, 33% between the age of 35 to 44. And 23% 45 to 54. So I'm going to choose between the ages of 25 and 54 because that's the bulk of the audience. I'm going to choose women. They're either married or single, college education, household income. There's a tab that says household. Household income is between 50 to 150,000. That's 68% of their audience. 80% of them have own a home. They have between 1 and 4 children. Their home is between between $100,000 and $500,000. They speak English. And then over on your ideal customer worksheet, we're going to put, there's a little space that says gurus, other people that they listen to. So I'm going to go look at that paid likes, and I'm going to list Ray Higdon, Bob Heelig, I guess, Katie McShee, Sonia Stinger. These are all people that also have shown interest in it. So you can go down and look at it and look at this page of all these psychographics. So then it goes in and it talks about location. Where are these people located? And it can tell you that the vast majority of the United States, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Orlando, some of those major areas. So you can really go in and start gleaming all about your target audience right here. You can get all their information and just use Facebook's tool and experiment. Now, where this will come in play later on is one, when we're crafting our message, we can look at the types of messages, the type of things that someone like this Eric Worre that my audience or my client wanted to emulate. What kind of messages are they putting out? What things are getting likes, shares, and interactions? So we know what messages that they're giving are having effect and which ones to avoid, because we can also see that they're not putting out, they might put out a post on something that the audience just doesn't interact in. Okay, so we know to stay away from that. So now, how do we know what do they desire most? That's something that we need to ask ourselves, and we need to really look at in depth and really think about what is it that our target audience wants. They want something. Now, in the case of these network marketing people, usually it's, for my client, and when we did the research, they wanted a secondary income that would supplement everything else they do. They wanted a lifestyle business. And so that was the desire. And what were they afraid of most? They were afraid of most. They did not want to talk to family and friends about their business. I mean, let's just face it. Who hasn't been approached with network marketing and said, "Hey, can we come over and show you some flip charts or something?" Who hasn't been approached by family and friends for that sort of thing? So you can understand why. But that's what her audience wanted. And then we need to look at what are the objections. So a great way to do that is look over, like we looked at this Eric Worre, and he had a whole thing about what are the typical objections that he faces all the time. And he had an FAQ. Look at FAQs. Look at groups. What are people asking in groups? This is where you have to glean information. Creating your ideal customer, creating your avatar, it takes a good week to do this properly if you really want to put the energy into it. And the key to success here is try to have empathy with your audience. Try not to give. I worked with a client once, and they were dead set. They were going to give the customer only what they wanted to give. They did not want to ask the customer and say, "What is it that you want?" And if you're going to be successful, you have to give your customer what they want first before you can give them what you feel they need. I mean, look at real life. Has anyone or a family member or someone walked up to you and said, "Hey, this is what you need to do"? How well is that received compared to, "Hey, how you doing? What is it that you want? What can I help you with?" Which one will be received better? So it's the same way with marketing and sales. We have to look at what is it that the customer wants, and we have to give that to them first. And that's how we create a relationship of trust. So here's your homework assignment if you haven't already done it. Number one, go get the Small Business Growth Method Roadmap from freakysmartmarketing.com/roadmap if you don't already have it. Number two, start doing research on your ideal customer. Who is it? What are their demographics? If you have information on past customers, who's been buying your product? Who have you done business with in the past? And it's okay if you have to guesstimate. An educated guess is better than nothing at all. But start writing down that information. Start keeping track of it. And even better yet, if you have the opportunity, ask. Go ask your audience. What are you? The great way to approach it is, "Hey, what are you struggling with most?" And I guarantee you they'll tell you. People love to share their opinions. It's just the way it is. We love to talk about ourselves. But be a good listener. Ask, what are you struggling with most? What is it that you're trying to achieve? How could I help you? What is it that's holding you back? Your customers, your audience would love for you to ask those questions. Well, that does it for today's episode. Thanks for listening. And remember, go get the Small Business growth method roadmap at freakysmartmarketing.com/roadmap. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to Freaky Smart Marketing today. For all the show notes and resources mentioned in this episode, go to freakysmartmarketing.com/podcast to see the latest episodes. Also, please leave us your feedback on what I can do better. Do you have questions about marketing or sales? Send me your questions and I'll answer them on the show. Hey, we'll see you next episode. Have a great week, my friends.